Are you ready to get wellness in your life? Are you concerned about the rising cost of healthcare and the access to healthcare services? The chronic diseases that make up a large portion of healthcare expense can often be avoided with early lifestyle changes, good nutrition, and smart choices. I'm Rebecca Marshall with the Salem Apothecary, and we're gearing up to help you get wellness in your life. As we celebrate 40 years on the historic Salem Square, we're including visits to historic businesses on the square with chats about getting wellness. So I'm starting this week by talking about magnesium and about the Salem Apothecary, and I'm talking about how we got started. We got started in 1985, and we bought an existing business, which was then Apple's Drugs. I am proudest of the fact that this building has always been a pharmacy. So we are actually the fourth business to be here. But I had been working at Apple's Drugs as a fresh student, fresh out of Purdue. And then after I got married, I did some relief work, or filling in work in lots of different businesses around southern Indiana at a lot of pharmacies. And so when the opportunity to buy a drugstore came up, I was actually commuting to Corydon with Jeff Johnson, who was also doing the same kind of thing I was doing, just working at one pharmacy here, one pharmacy there. And Jeff and I, as we commuted, would say, you know, if we had our own store, we'd do this, or if we had our own store, we'd do that. And so that's how Salem Apothecary got started. Apple's Drugs came on the market, and we decided that we were going to buy it and do all those things that we said we wanted to do in our own business. But it's also historic in that the number of small businesses that are still available in Indiana are becoming more and more less. And so that we are still here as a small business and not necessarily affiliated with a big chain is unusual anymore. What's also unusual is that I'm a woman in pharmacy. The other thing I'm proudest about our store is that this is the home of Des Rutter, who was the first woman to be licensed as a pharmacist in the state of Indiana. Now, she was licensed as a pharmacist back in 1900, and at that time it was most unusual for a woman to be a pharmacist. But she was the first woman to be licensed. Before that, there were certainly women who did pharmacy, but they were called the wise women then. You know, they were dealing mainly in herbs and that kind of thing. So Des had actually gone to pharmacy school, and at Purdue, of course, and so she had a degree and became a licensed pharmacist. Today, women make up the majority of the pharmacists in the field, but in 1900, it was most unusual to have a woman. So I'm very proud to show her picture here and talk about that. But my goodness, what healthcare has changed since Des practiced. And so, not only has technology changed, as we've had a discussion earlier as we get ready with this podcast, but healthcare has changed so dramatically, and also just within the years that I have been practicing here. When we first opened, there was not a computer here, so it was really a big deal when we installed the first computer in our apothecary. And the only thing it did then was just type labels. I mean, now we have technology that, keeps track of what somebody takes, how often they get it filled, what interactions there might be that we need to talk to the patient about when they pick up their medicine the next time, and those kind of things. And technology does so much more for us now than it used to. But in about 1988, 86, 87, long about in there, when we put in our first computer, that was really kind of a big deal. But we couldn't begin to manage things now. I have a lot of medication in my pharmacy, but I probably have less than, an eighth of what's actually available on the market anymore. There was a time when, there weren't nearly that many things available on the market and not as many drugs, but we have so many now that you really need that technology to help keep up with what can interact with what's the thing you need to take with this. I mean, does this need food? Does that not? And people are taking more medicine now. The statistics that we have are that the average person over the age of 50 is taking 5 or more medications. And that's medications, not necessarily supplements. Supplements is another field that we have here at the apothecary, but it's also something different from what medications actually are. And so one of the things to talk about today in our health and wellness work, magnesium is one of the nutritional supplements that we are really low on. We used to get our magnesium from the vegetables and foods that we eat, but our soil has also gotten depleted from magnesium. So the majority of people are in our society today don't get enough magnesium, because even if they're eating well, which of course that's another whole topic and we'll discuss that one day too. So magnesium is one of the things that we all need to be supplementing with. There's a lot of different kinds of magnesium. The ones most people are familiar with is the magnesium oxide that we sometimes take to help to evacuate our systems. But because it helps to evacuate our system, it doesn't get absorbed into the body. So when you're looking for a magnesium supplement, you need to look for something like magnesium glycinate. Magnesium thiolate is one that can help you sleep. The glycinate helps your muscles. There are 3 or 4 different kinds of magnesium, depending on what you're needing, that you might want to look at. Magnesium glycinate is the most general one. And for people who have leg cramps, women who have menstrual cramps, those are what's one of the first things that we can recommend. Magnesium is also good for your brain. Obviously, the magnesium oxide can be good for your intestinal system if it needs some little help in getting that in the right way. So there are so many things that magnesium does, and we are all just a little short of it. And that's not the right word. We are all short of it, and we need to be supplementing with it. So that is our health tip for today. The Salem Apothecary has been on this square for so long, and people come in all the time and say, "Oh, I didn't know this was a pharmacy." Back when we started Salem Apothecary, I chose apothecary. Well, Jeff and I chose it together because it encompasses the whole of healthcare. It's not just a pharmacy. Pharmacy certainly is becoming more this way too, but we're doing more than just medication. We do durable medical equipment. We talk to people about their nutritional supplements. Have always done that, even though it's much more prevalent today, as well as lifestyle issues. How much sleep are you getting? How much exercise are you getting? And now, because people have so many medications that they take, there's always a lot of discussion to be had about how much one medication might interact with another and what you might need to do to separate them as you take them, or add a supplement to them to make sure you're getting enough magnesium along with whatever you're taking for those muscle cramps, that kind of thing. So apothecary is a healthcare term that came from the frontier. Back in the frontier times, an apothecary was the doctor, the pharmacist, the leg setter, the teeth puller. The apothecary did all of those things on the frontier. And so that's why we like the name of Salem Apothecary. And we're still Salem Apothecary, even though pharmacy and healthcare have changed a lot in those times. So we're celebrating 40 years of being here on the Salem Square. And it's a neat old building. We still consider the most unusual event that happened was what we call the Fire of '88. There was the fire was actually in the building next to us, And so we didn't have fire so much as we had water and smoke in this in 1988. And so we had to really completely redo the store after that because of the fire and smoke. So that was the biggest event. Although the building itself is still the same structure, the inside of it had to all be changed at that time, and that's what made it a little different. So, but even the fire of '88 has gotten to be a few years away. And but we are proud to still be here and serving the Washington County community. So I hope you will be interested in listening to some more of our podcast as we work our way around the square, visiting with other businesses and hearing the history of how the Salem Square developed and what are some of the good things that you can be doing to get wellness in your life.